Hey everybody, Jason here. We talked in one of the past videos about interest rates and why, in my opinion, if you're a deep value investor focused on good to great businesses, interest rates shouldn't bother you too much. Most people are freaking out about interest rates. In that video, I spent the time talking about my opinions on why, as a deep value investor focused on good to great businesses, you shouldn't worry too much. In this video, I'm going to talk about tariffs and why we should all, not even just as deep value investors, be worried about tariffs and the looks to be impending trade war at this point. So what are tariffs? Tariffs are pretty much taxes on imports, exports from other countries. The tariffs release, or at least the initial kind of version of the tariffs released as of this recording, I think it was yesterday or the day before, by Donald Trump, were on was it steel, and then he announced some more steel, and then some aluminum, I think, and then yesterday he announced more on specifically China in terms of shoes and other kind of stuff. Why is this such a big deal, and why should it worry pretty much everybody? Again, get out of the investing realm. Why should this worry pretty much everybody? Because if we get into a trade war, or if we start a trade war, which it looks like we might be doing, this will likely raise prices on pretty much everything that is being has the tariffs on them. Steel prices could go up. Aluminum prices could go up. That could affect aluminum cans. The price of a soda could go up. The price of building a building could go up. The price of building a house could go up. Price of building cars could go up. Whatever steel and aluminum, whatever else those go into, those prices on those consumer goods or retail goods or housing goods or whatever they end up being, likely will go up at least in some degree, and if this keeps going for at least probably a medium to long term thing. In terms of shoes and the other import or tariffs levied on China, or going to be levied on China, they're still kind of negotiating as of this recording. Shoe prices could go up. Think of it this way: anything that is going to have a tariff, anything we put a tariff on as the United States, another country is likely going to impose tariffs on us. For example, China, we announced we were going to put tariffs on them, so they put tariffs on some of our imports into their country. I'm pretty much a free trade guy. I'm a libertarian politically, so this kind of stuff is asinine to me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Is there imbalance in world trade? Yes. Is there really anything to do about it without going into kind of a trade war? In my opinion, not really, because China, India, US in some examples, placing dumping duties on foreign goods coming into the United States, which is another form of a tariff that has happened. I've researched it specifically in the furniture industry. It's another kind of tariff that got rid of foreign competition, but raised prices dramatically on U.S. high-end furniture. Dramatically. If I remember correctly, this was probably 7-8 years ago when I was researching this. A company in that industry, but it was on the order of magnitude of 50 to 100% that prices rose due to those anti-dumping duties, tariffs, whatever you want to call them. So what's likely going to happen is what's already begun to happen is everything we put a tariff on imports into our country, again, I'm in the US, other countries are going to put tariffs on our exports into their countries. China's already said they're going to do this. Europe is thinking about it. So what does this mean kind of from an value investment perspective? If you have a company that deals with one of these industries, so far steel, shoes, aluminum, and I think there's some other ones, but these are the three kind of biggest ones. If you own Nike, if you own Reebok, if you own Adidas, if you own Alcoa, if you own one of the giant steel makers, you could be in trouble. Your investment could get hammered. if this trade war expands to other countries, to other assets, and people on both sides begin getting belligerent, which will happen most likely, things will escalate. More and more tariffs will be instituted. More and more things will be taxed heavily. More and more things will have their prices raised, or companies, or actual parent companies, public companies, will either lower their margins will lower, meaning the value of their underlying operations will be lowered, or they will have a harder time selling their assets, their inventory, which would lead to possibly having to write them off, which will lead to loss of balance sheet strength and balance sheet value, or prices are going to rise on consumers possibly substantially. Again, we haven't really seen, I read a lot of financial history. I don't remember the last time in the United States we saw a major trade war. Last time I'm thinking is in the 1800s, early 1900s. I'm sure there's been some minor ones in the past. The oil embargo in the 70s was a kind of a version of a trade war, but kind of on a big scale on a bunch of different things. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head since the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, in terms of trade wars. So this, again, I'm biased by my political leanings, being a libertarian and free trade guy, but this is going, in my opinion, this is going to be bad for pretty much everybody. Again, not just from an investment perspective if you own these kinds of companies, but from a consumer perspective, if things continue escalating, imports on fruit, exports on fruit or meat, groceries, pretty much everyday items could be prices could rise on them for a consumer perspective. And the things I mentioned before about the balance sheet strength and operational value and strength lowering could happen to these companies who run these kind of things. So in my opinion, this is going to end up badly for pretty much everybody. It's going to end in most likely all sides pretty much caving and just going back to kind of the status quo as it was before, with minor concessions from each side. And it's going to cause a lot of short-term pain, short-term, mid-term pain, depending on how long it lasts. But then everything's going to go back to the status quo, and pretty much nothing will be gained other than some minor concessions. So it'll pretty much be a worthless gambit. In my opinion, that's what's going to happen. You never know. The U.S. could win versus these trade wars. Again, the winning is relative here, because if we win, and let's say China starts, I don't even want to go there, because to me, the whole basis of this is competing fairly and having a fair trade balance and not devaluing currencies and stuff like that, and the world's not fair. So I don't even want to go there, but that's the argument that's kind of going on right now. The real world is not fair, so I don't know why they expect this to be fair. People are always going to try to cheat the system or game the system or work around the rules. So going to a trade war over this kind of stuff is stupid in my opinion, and it's not going to work. So those are my kind of thoughts on the tariffs and the impending, looming trade war that looks like it's coming. In my opinion, if you just cut the last couple seconds of this, it's stupid and it's going to backfire on pretty much everybody. Going to raise prices on pretty much everybody, going to lower margins on companies, going to raise prices for consumers, pretty much all around not going to be a good deal. If you have any thoughts on this, any questions, comments, concerns, this is a little bit out of my realm, as it's more macro focused, but this will trickle down to the kind of micro aspect of individual companies if it continues to escalate. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments below. If you want to watch the video I talked about interest rates, there should be playlists this way, depending on where you're watching, that will include, or that will have that video and our other videos in our playlist. And if you want to subscribe, make sure to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell so you get notified that when all of our videos release as they release. And thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.